Welcome, everyone, to episode 428 of Just Joshing. I'm your host, Joshua Pentelaresco. I write stuff in podcasts, too, and today, Ella Bachman is my guest. She was fun. She interviewed me for her blog, and this is me returning the favor, and we have a heck of a conversation about the business of writing, self-worth, and, of course, resentment. She's cool. I really enjoyed talking to her. Lynn is a very amazing talent in her own right, and I hope to go back on her blog at some point down the road. But first, it's nearly my birthday. This is October, and yeah, I just about finished my first audiobook for my client. It'll be pretty much done. Not by the time this airs, but probably about 5 or 6 hours after this is done, I'm going to finish the book, and then I'm going to tomorrow probably sleep a wink until I get my bill paid. Yeah, this was a heck of a learning experience. I'm going to write about my audiobook experience, a how-to audiobook kind of deal for authors, and kind of just do the pros, the cons, and how to do it with Audacity. I might just pitch that to a couple places as well. It was a great learning experience. I learned an awful lot about editing. It was fun. I really enjoyed it. My tongue is sore. I spoke English, a little Mandarin, a little Esperanto, and yeah, Valchilo will be forever in my vocabulary for the rest of my time, I will say. But I want to thank Brad Anderson, my client, for doing it. It was a pleasure. All right, guys, let's get to my conversation with Lynn, and we'll talk after.
This episode of Just Joshing is sponsored by Indie Imprint. Indie Imprint supports creators by creators. Whether you are writing a book or creating a video game, Indie Imprint works with its clients to produce, edit, and present their projects to the world. For more information, check out their website at www.indieimprint.com.
We do have. So, the recorder's on, and Lynn and I are just having a talk about her cat and dog, who seem to be fighting. So who's winning?
Who's winning? The cat, always.
Yeah, well, cats are more vicious than dogs. Most people don't really realize that when you watch them. Cats are fast. If you ever see a cat fight, it's like they're vicious. Dogs are far and away gentler than cats are, usually. There are some exceptions to that, but I usually bet on the cat. Anyway, so comments. I'm assuming you're right on that. You agree with me at least on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that my dog at least is the quickest. He's more of like this big dopey, like, I just want to play. It's my friend, and the other one's like, no,
yeah.
We're not friends.
Well, no, cat doesn't want to do something, they don't do it. That's just how they are.
Yeah.
It's just how they are. So you nervous?
I was.
You was.
I always get nervous before I do an interview or a video, but then once I'm in it, I'm fine.
Okay. I just figured I'd ask that magical question because, you just screw those times. So I usually ask this question when I open up a show. If anything incriminating you'd like to say, make it good.
Buy my books.
I guess that's incriminating. And you buy your books? Okay. So for those that are wondering, I met Lynn about a month and a half. No, a little earlier than that. We agreed to do an interview, and then I looked at the notes. We said, yeah, let's do it, and nothing came about it till now. So, but here we are, and so Lynn, I guess the first question is, why books? What got you into it?
Well, I mean, I've mentioned this before on my website and in other interviews. I got into writing when I was younger as a coping mechanism, as an escape. It gave me something to do. And I like to read. That was already something I was doing. And then I got encouraged by teachers when I would write in school to keep doing it, that I had something there. And then I started with poetry young, and I actually won awards for it. I got acknowledged for it, but I was like, oh, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be a poet. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up just really focusing on the writing fiction side of it. And life happened, and I didn't do it for a long time, and then I got back into it about 6 years ago.
Okay. And so what was the turning point?
The turning point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got into the industry doing graphics. I got through this phase of just getting back on my feet. I'd had a really bad health for several years there. My health is not 100% still, but this was like I was bedridden. I couldn't get up and move and do anything like that. And then when I got where I was moving, I wanted to help my husband out. I wanted to bring income in. I had to do something. He had made the comment that he had lost his wife, in that I wasn't happy because I've been so sick, and he just said, "You're there, but you're not there," and that affected me. And because somewhere along the lines of becoming a mom and getting married and settling down, I'd lost me. I'd lost things that I like to do. I was always about everybody else all the time. So I started with the graphic arts because that was something I could already do, and it would get me into the industry. And then everything just started rolling really quickly. By that next year, Maxwell Demon, that first book of my Blasphemous series, was published. I signed a contract with a publishing company, working in their promotions and graphics. And I worked for them for years until they closed down. And I kept writing, and I just kind of kept going. But once I got in it, I just keep going.
And you found yourself again? Like, are you happier than you were then versus now?
I am to a point. I mean, it gets really hard when you take something you love and you do it as a job. I know they say if you find something you love and make it your job, it's like you've never worked. But for me, I was like, yes, that's really good advice. It'll never feel like work, but it does get to the point where for me, I would not want to do it. I didn't find joy in it. I didn't like to write. I didn't want to do graphics. I didn't want to work with this person or that person because they were too much of a headache. And then that would slowly start killing it for me. But I took a year off of not working for any, because I had my own clients doing graphic work, and then I worked for that publishing company, so I was doing work all the time, and I was like, nope, I'm done. I took a break for about a year, and slowly I started getting back to where I wanted to do it again. I was overworked, and it was a lot of my fault because I wasn't saying no. I was just taking on everybody.
This is not a good way. I've been going freelance, and this is my 6th month of going freelance. I've made more money every month. I'm still what's the term? I'm still getting better at some things, and I'm still learning my ropes. But I made myself a promise, and I've been keeping to it, which is I will never resent what I'm doing on my own. I left my day job to not resent working for people. And I will work for me. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no such thing as a perfect job. No matter if it's something you love, there's going to be days, but there's only going to be days, not weeks, not months, not years. If I hate it, I walk. I'm too old to do this. I'm just too old. I'm just too old to be miserable. Like I made that decision. Like, you know what? I'm not going to resent anybody or anything I do. If you're going to put me in a position where I have to resent you for some reason, I'm just going to walk away. It's just not worth it.
I agree. That's something I have felt as I've gotten older. I just have very little patience for. I don't know if I can cuss or not, but bullcrap.
You can say whatever you like. I don't care.
Well, I'll just say bullcrap.
Okay, you say bullcrap.
I just, the older I get, I'm just like, nope, I'm not gonna do this. I'm just tired. I don't want to do it. You can't make me do it. You know.
Well, no. I mean, as a writer, actually as an artist in general, one of the biggest things we're taught is, when you start, you kind of have to be open for work. But once you have once you have a bit of a reputation anywhere you go or anything you do, you slowly start to get work in specific areas. And when you do that, you can now be a lot more discerning. I mean, one of the things I realized very early on is I have to be able to fire people. That sounds like a revolutionary concept. It's not. It's just, that's how it is. You have to realize with yourself that you're built to deal with certain things, and some things you have to deal with. Let's be real here. Like, some things you have to deal with, but
Right.
you never have to resent what you're doing, ever. And so, the biggest thing you have to be honest with yourself is, what are your borders? What are your boundaries? What do you want to do? And you be honest with yourself about it. It's like, okay, what do I want to do? What don't I want to do? And just stick to your guns. I mean, that's sometimes the hard part. It's like, sometimes the world will be like, are you sure you want to stick to these guns? And then sometimes you're going to be like, yeah, damn it, I want to say, I'm going to stick to these guns. This is the way it is. You know?
Yeah. Well, I have part of why I ended up in the situation that I was in was I don't like letting people down. That's one of my issues. I'm a people pleaser. And I've had to come to terms with I can't make everybody happy. I'd already accepted, like, I'm not going to make every reader happy. They're always going to not like something. But when I work for somebody, I know what it's like to be on the other end of it and not know who to talk to get help. Oh, I don't know how to do this. I need the help or whatever. So I ended up getting myself into situations that I didn't want to be in work-wise because I was being probably too sympathetic to the other side of it.
It sounded like it was a little bit more than that. I mean, it's just part of the growth process. As I've gotten older, it's gotten easier to say no. And it's not because I'm not unsympathetic or that I'm not tired. It's not even that. I just realized, like, look, if I'm going to resent what I do in any way, shape, or form, I'm not the person for this job. Right. That's what it comes right down to. Like, that's just me being very, very honest with myself. It's like, you know what? If I'm feeling resistance doing this job, I'm not doing the best job I can. If I'm right, that doesn't mean like, hey, okay, I got it. When I'm done talking to you, I'm going to be going back home, and I'm going to be doing some voice work for this audiobook I'm working on. That's my job. So there's going to be takes where I'm like, shit, I fucked up. But that's different than saying, okay, you know what? That's different than say, I hate this job, and I hate this thing, and I hate that thing, and I hate that thing. And no, I mean, that's not what you want to do. You want to be like, okay, I can do this job. There's a challenge to the job. Cool. I don't mind that there's a challenge to the job. But the other thing I learned too, this is a very interesting lesson. Charge what it's worth. Because even though you're not going to get every client that comes through the door, the ones that do come through the door will appreciate you an awful lot more than when you sell yourself short. Because when you sell yourself short, people subconsciously pick up on the fact that you are selling yourself short, and they take advantage of you that way. And because you've already opened the door, because you're not giving yourself what you're actually worth. And I've learned this lesson, and it's like, oh. So now it's like, if there's even a hint of resentment, I charge more money. If I'm going to figure out where that sweet spot is, where if I'm doing a job for you, I don't resent it ever. And that means raising my price. That will mean raising my price. If that means, I don't do the job, I don't do the job. If I can't get out of it, but I mean, I will find a way to not resent the job. I think that's a really important thing. Especially if you're doing your own thing creatively, you have to have that attitude, or else you're going to be absolutely miserable.
I agree. What I am talking about, I'm not talking about that I completely hated my job.
No.
I've been doing this for years, and every now being a freelancer is very different kind of job. Because most people don't really understand what we do. We can say, oh, we do design or we write, and then they're like, so you don't really have a real job.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to explain ourselves so that they understand it. But we also get into situations where, and I speak from experience, and I'm speaking what I'm about to say from what I've seen other people having to go through as freelancers.
Mm-hmm.
We get caught up in, this is our only income. Maybe I'm charging too much. Maybe I'm not charging enough. And then we end up kind of taking it out on ourselves. Was I not good enough? Was I not quick enough? Why am I beating myself up? What is wrong? And that could be with this client. Then the next one's great, loves you, loves what you're working with, loves every idea. And then the next client may ghost you. Have a big conversation, you do the work, and then you don't hear back from them. You're not getting paid properly if you don't have your stuff set up properly, which is a learning experience. You have to figure that out, and you don't always know who to talk to. When I started out, I didn't know anybody. I was just like, I see this industry, I want to get involved, and I started off doing work for free. I just, hey, you need a cover, I'll do a cover, and that's how I got started, was just doing work for free to get my name out there. And then I ended up working with, and I've talked about her before, and she knows I talk about her all the time, because if it wasn't for this one writer, I probably would not be writing. Even though I know how and all of that. She's the one that encouraged me. Her name is Lindy Spencer. She approached me because I was doing free work. Going, hey, we're doing this cover. You're doing this giveaway of a free cover. Do you think you could help? And from there, I ended up befriending her. We still talk to this day. And she was like, you're doing really good. You write. And then I went, yeah, I write too. And I don't know. And she just kept, no, if you write, you need to be writing. You're miserable. You're only doing half of what you can do. If you're just doing graphics and not writing, you need to be doing both. And because of her, I was able to get my first book out, which was Maxwell Demon. And now the second book is it's coming back out in November. But from her, I just slowly started meeting more people. And I've credited her with, if you don't like me, blame her. She encouraged me. I'm just making messes. But it's networking. I don't hate my job. No. I felt like that was coming off as I just hate my job and I'm bitter. No, I've overworked myself. And that is something that's really common with creative types, getting a burnout. I wrote about this on my website, how you can just keep going and not even know that you're burning out. And a buddy of mine that I'm named Ed Souter, he owned Burning Willow Press with his wife. He was my boss. That was the company I worked for, and he knew something was up well before I did. He just was like, it's kind of off, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, not wanting to let him down. And I just kept pushing forward, and then he finally just sat me and I was like, look, we know something's going on, and as a friend, talk to me. And that's when I started coming to terms with I was burning out. Yeah. That's why I needed to take the time off that I did. But that was last year. I took that year off, but I wouldn't fully off because I still have my own work to do.
Oh yeah.
But by no means am I saying like be a freelancer is easy.
No,
or I don't like it. I love being my own boss.
I didn't say that. I wasn't necessarily implying that at all either. But it sounds like I said, it's just a common trap for a creative person to go like, hey, I can do all this, and this. I've come to the point in my life, it's like I don't want to do it like that. Like for me, it's just like strictly on a business level. And this is how I'm looking at this, right? I'm in business for myself.
Right.
It makes no sense for me to have a zillion clients. Not because I don't think I can't have a zillion clients, but rather my job is to make sure whoever I'm working for is happy with the work I'm doing. That's right. It is far easier for me to go with less clients, but making them exceptionally happy, right? Versus say, I get 20 or 30 clients and trying to make them all happy. I just think about teachers in elementary school. They have classrooms of over 20 kids. There's no way you can make all 20 kids happy. You have zero chance of that. You can try to make the majority of them happy. You can care for all of them. That's not really the issue. But you only have so much time in the day. And if you don't, I'm starting to do audiobooks. I have a voice. I'm good with my voice. I'm good at making an ass of myself. It's a gift. And the thing about it though is I realize I can't charge this cheaply. There's just not enough hours in the day. So I charge. Someone actually has to do. Do you do a royalty share? It's nope, don't do it because honestly.
I think that was me that asked because there's so many different ways you can get paid.
Yes, yeah, but the thing is that's all back end. And I'm looking at the fact that the matter is okay, if for 1 hour of a book, I'm putting in 4 hours of work. An average audiobook is anywhere from 5 to 10 hours. Well, if I'm putting 20, 38, 40 hours into a book, well, I want to make sure then I'm paid for it because I can't get that time back, right? But also the same token, right? I mean, this is just me strictly speaking on a business level. Right. Again, something I've noticed is if I charge too little, people don't respect the service. If I charge a lot, it forces people that are serious to respect the service. Does that make sense?
I get what you're saying. I think I don't know if I'm getting it because I understand the business side of it or because I've been there, but I've seen it, and I've also been in that situation with also not knowing what to charge because it's really hush on the graphic side. I've noticed nobody wants to say what they're charging except the really bigger graphic artists. They'll tell you flat out what they're charging, and I think it's because people are scared of what you were talking about of not being valued for their work. And I think every single one of us has been approached for, well, it's just art. Can't you just do it for free? No, this is people's livelihood. Bills getting paid. This is food and in fridges and kids getting coats, and it's a livelihood for a lot of us. And we're starting, like you said, so many are just now starting. Even when I started, there was a bunch of people coming up when I was coming up. It's a slow burn. You got to just keep going. And even if you just started, it's somebody trying to do something on their own that's business. You can't play with people's money because you play with people's lives when you do that. So when somebody, and I know that might sound too harsh or I'm being dramatic, but it's true. The starving artist thing.
Yeah.
Do you understand? I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly, but it's true. People will not eat so that they can afford their canvases, their paints, their brushes, their digital equipment if they're working through a computer like I do.
Mm-hmm. No, it's part of the deal, right? You have to if I can't get work done, I can't get paid. If I can't get paid, well, I go back to that McDonald's job I couldn't stand before or something like that. I mean, it's one of those things. I have found, like I said, the best piece of advice I ever got about setting rates is this. How much is it going to cost you to do the job and not resent it? And that's why I've been talking about resentment being a very important meter. It's a great way of looking at what you're doing. Like I said, I started audiobooks. I started cheaper. My first book is cheaper than what I am going to eventually charge for it. But it's also my learning curve. It's how I've learned how to put together chapters and maximize my time in my reading. And I've been doing that with this book, right? So this book is going to take me longer than any other book I'll do, simply because this is my learning curve. At the same time, on the flip side, there's also the simple fact of the matter, though, is that the next book I'm doing, no matter if it's a smaller book or a bigger book, it's going to come to more money, simply because I know, again, I'm learning the work it actually takes to do it. So I don't mind learning, and I don't mind this time around paying my way. I can edit my own stuff in terms of the audio and sound. I've done enough podcasts that I can do that. But what I'm getting at, right, is simply the fact that but resentment's a huge measuring tool, and I don't think a lot of artists utilize that enough. If you just being honest, if you look at your work, the work you're doing right now, and you say to yourself, okay, how much is it going to cost me to do this work without resenting it in any way, shape, or form? It's not hating the job, right? It's just there's a sense of self-worth you have to have, and what is this worth to me to do? I remember I was looking at freelancer.com, just doing a quick little article. I don't mind doing those for like 30, 40, 50 bucks, something like that. So every once in a while, because it's quick, I can get the job done and I can get paid. One guy offered me to do a piece of work for $5. I looked at him and said, dude, I don't get out of bed for $5. You just don't, right? And that's just honest. Like you have to make those decisions for yourself, like what you're worth. And
well, I've heard of other writers doing that. Like,
yeah.
They'll just get up just to work. They won't get out of bed if the offer's less than what they feel they're worth. I mean, that's common.
Yeah, no, and again, but that's a resentment thing too, right? Right, and I call it the resentment layer. Like, you gotta have a sense, like, self-worth is one of the most important things you have as a business. And anyone that freelances or that's writing creatively and trying to make a living doing it, you gotta look at it like a business. Like you say, or you have to. So, things like, what are you worth? How many clients do you want to make in a month? Work within a month? What drives you to do what you do? And and none of the stuff I'm talking about talks about the enjoyment of the job. More often than not, the creation of the work is actually the easiest part of the job, right? The hardest part. Most of the time.
I mean, you're doing fields that I don't narrate. I've been told I should. I don't.
Yeah.
But you're in. Have you done graphic work?
I've never done graphic work, but I have. But I've hired people to do graphic work, and I've had to deal with some people. Oh no! Absolutely. My philosophy when I hire a graphic person, this is my philosophy. Look at what they do. Look at their strengths. Have them solve your problems with their strengths. They're going to come up with what you have perfectly in your head is not going to completely come out on the page. But if you let your artists be artists, because you're hiring them, this is called respecting expertise, right? And if I'm hiring somebody to draw something for me, now I'm obviously going to have a certain confines within the story. That's really my only real, like, these are my wall. This is the box. It has to serve this purpose. And I need this and this in the picture somehow, some way. Go nuts. Okay?
I absolutely love hearing that.
Yeah.
From clients.
Yeah.
I love it. That's my favorite thing. I'm like, really? Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love it. I'm just like, yes, I can be so creative.
Yeah.
And that's when you see
the best stuff.
Artist really shine.
Well, that's like most people when they hire an artist, they don't look at the fact that what are you hiring them for? Like honestly, you are hiring them for their expertise and how they do it. Like for example, what do you draw well? Like just hypothetically speak. Like just what do you love to draw? What do you love to draw more than anything else?
Well, see, my art breaks down in different ways. Like I do hand stuff. Like I draw my little guys, but that's not something I would ever put on a cover. My bread and butter is digitally crafting, meshing. The way it works is, I'll just give you an example. Say you came to me and you're like, hey, I've seen your work. I hear good things. I want you to use this image that I've licensed and this image that I've licensed and do something. I need it for horror. That was my genre that I did the best. It was horror and sci-fi.
Okay. So
what I would do. I'm sorry. What?
Okay. No, I'm listening to you. And so okay. This is what I do. This is how I do this. I learned this because I'm a comic book guy. Like I love comics. And right. I always look at what the artist is drawing. And the reason why I do that is simply because I will learn very quickly what the artist's strengths and weaknesses are. I'll see what you all give your game away. If people are looking really, really closely at it, you can give your game away. Have you seen the covers to my book, right? My books, right? They're two different.
Not recently.
Look at my Facebook profile picture. Just look at my face.
Got my phone out. I'm talking to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just don't pay attention sometimes because I've got so much going on. Not to be.
No. Don't be rude. Just I'm gonna just look at my profile picture. That's all you gotta look at.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
I don't ever pay attention to those because so many mine's so weird.
That's okay. But just look at it.
I'm going.
Just look at it.
You're all excited. I'm going.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I saw the image earlier.
Yeah. She's good, right?
Yeah, she is.
She's really good. So, I looked at her work. I went to her. This was a little outside of her comfort zone, not really not majorly. It's you like Allison Wonderland? Like, yeah, sure. This is my vibe I'm going for. And I told her what my vibe was. Oh, okay. Most of that's her. Not me. Most of that is actually her. I gave her a direction. I gave her a thought. The only thing, right? I gave her a thought. I told her kind of what's going on, what's in the Cheshire Grin, and all that stuff, right? And why it's there and all that. She read the story. She got the concept, the psychology of it, and it was okay, that works. That's amazing, and she killed it. I'd work with her again in a heartbeat, right? Because right.
What's her name?
Kenzie Carr.
Cool.
Right.
There, she got her shout out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I always promote. I always promote everybody I work with. Right. I know it's important. Look, I work with people, and the thing is, I realize this very rarely. It doesn't matter who the artist is. It could be Kenzie, it could be Lance Bond, who did the cover to The Cloud Diver. It could be Florence Jan, who did my covers for Watch Storm Dancer, Wandering God. Right, and she did internal illustrations that are just amazing too. But the thing I'm getting at with you is I learned a long time ago that if I'm hiring anybody, right, it's because they can do things I can't, or they're saving me time. And I would be stupid, and this is just how I look at it. I would be stupid if I thought that the expertise that I would let my expertise or lack of expertise get in the way of their best possible job they can do. Right. And artists, especially look at and this is speaking to me. This is me when I'm the client, right? If I get in the way, there are 4 reasons to fire somebody. There are 4 reasons if you're a freelancer. If you're a freelancer and you got a client you got to fire, there's 4 reasons. Reason 1 is they're not giving you the information you need. That wasn't the case with me. I want to make sure they had all the information they needed. Number 2, emotional instability. If you're a control freak to the artist might, if you pay enough money, the artist will put up with it for one job and only one job, and they will get the hell out of there as fast as they can. Right? I want these people to work for me again. I like these people. They're awesome. They make my life easier. I'm going to pay them what they're worth. Because I don't want to ever go back to being with unprofessional people, because that drives me nuts. I don't care. I'm right.
Like with what I was saying, when I was giving the example of if you approached me for a cover, and it's just an example, hypothetical. I approach it differently. I usually end up in my experience, I've had authors come to me and go, or publishers or whomever I'm working for, hey, I've got this image and this image. I need you to do something with it. But I've also not designed just covers. I've done logos, and I would hand draw it and then scan it into my computer. But a lot of that work isn't very publicly known because things would fall through. It wouldn't happen. So I've done T-shirts and logos and convention logos and business cards. So it's just, it varies depending on what the client's asking me to do on how I approach it. Mm-hmm. You have to adapt, I guess what you're saying.
Yeah.
What I'm saying.
Well, no, again, you have to adapt. but you also, it's also what you're willing to do. But like I said, from my end, being when I'm the client, especially in those situations, I try to be as specific as I can in terms of what I actually need done, and then I get the hell out of the way. Because if I could do it on my own, I wouldn't hire you. And I'm not trying, like, it's just, that's how I look at it.
I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's actually part of why I ended up teaching myself different aspects of the industry. The only thing I can't do for myself, and it's because I refuse to do it, is I'll hire somebody to fully edit. Because my work needs fresh eyes.
Well, yeah.
I've been working on it for months and months. You start, oh yeah, that's really what that said. Because in your head, you know what that scene's supposed to say.
Yeah. Oh, well, even
whatever. But that's the only thing I won't do for myself, because I'll hire somebody to do it if I'm doing it on my own. But I'm signed with publishing companies that greatly help me out and take a lot of weight off of me.
Yeah. Well, no, it's for me. I look at it like this. Like, I am not omnipotent. Sometimes I wish I was. No, actually, I don't. I really don't. There are things I just don't want to know in this life, and I'm very good. I'm at peace with myself of what I don't know. Right? I with editing, I find like one of the best tricks I can find to catch more of my stuff. I learned this from actually Jonas Saul, was read my stuff backwards. Right? From the end. Yeah, read it backwards, because you don't get sucked into the story that way. You just read it from the back to the front. You can actually see the tell.
I've never heard to do it that way.
Yeah,
I know that I've like gotten where I'll get stuck.
Yeah, no, but when you get
it's not working, and I'll just delete stuff. I've deleted 2-3 chapters because it didn't work.
And sometimes you have to. Sometimes you have to murder your darlings. Like don't. Sometimes that is the answer. Sometimes that is the answer, but. When you read something, and I thought this was a brilliant way of doing this, it's easy. You go read it for. I mean, you should read it for it. Like one of the things, like one of my drafts, I always like I'm on my first draft of my third book. I know this book is already better than my last 2 I've released, simply because again I've been doing it more, I've been practicing more, I've gotten better. But for this draft, when I finish it, I obviously I'll put it down and work on something else for a while. But the other part about that too is, when I get to editing it, and I know the next draft is going to be like, okay, get all the feels out of it, right? Get my personal feelings out of it. What works, what doesn't. Then the draft after, I'm going to add feelings, like words as descriptors for feeling, because you want to create a specific experience that tells the story, right? And I'm dealing with redemption, so all the arcs of redemption are going to be in there in some way or another. Then after I do that, I'm going to read it from the front to the back, see if I stop anywhere, if I get really confused and stop, or if I'm just being as hooked as possible the whole way through. And then finally, before I give it to an editor, I'm going to read it backwards, because it's insane, but it's also going to be like, well, you know what, now I'm not bullshitting myself with the story. It flows well, but now let's see if I can get some of the little details. And after I do all that, then I give it to an editor. Here you go.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person I've ever met that does that, or is describing it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people that are, I'm stuck, I can't work through, this character's not working for me. A lot of, I think people don't understand is a lot of us writers are joking when we say our characters are speaking to us. We understand that we are in control of these characters. We're not, we don't have mental illnesses or anything. We understand. But sometimes when you build a character a certain way, they don't want to work out in a scene that you're wanting to make. So it gets difficult in that way. But I even had to develop a method of helping myself, and I call it purging. I know it's called something else. I found out later that it is something, but I just thought of it one day when I was getting stuck. Is just write it all down, what I wanted in this chapter or this scene.
You plot that yet. You plot.
Building on it.
I plot. I have what I call my own treasure map method, which is I write 3 sentences about the scene, just 3, and basically the story, the main beat, what happens in the chapter, how I'm telling the story, because that's very important too. How am I telling the story? And finally, and then I just play with it. I don't. What's the term? beyond that, I don't worry about anything else. It's like, and then, because I have the basic psychology of the story in my head, and then at that point I let my characters boss me around a little bit. I go, okay, because that's what you need to do. You have to let your characters, in The Wandering God, my third book, there's a scene. It's like, okay, you have to kill me now. It's like, wait, what? No, I need to go. I'm done. Like, you don't need me in this beyond.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and it's part of the process. I wrote it. It made me very sad to write because I really liked that character, but it was the right thing of the story because I'm at the end of the story now, and where do I go from here, right? And so I ended the story, and that story's told and it's done, and I'm super happy with it. I'm super happy that I got to tell that story, and now I'm trying to tell new stories. And like I said, and every time I do one, I'm trying to get better at it, right? And so I listen, and I've had the fortune of talking to so many people that my methods have become more sophisticated. I plot now, but I'm not a hardcore. Well, this scene leads to this scene leads to this. No. This is where I'm going. Right. This is how I want to tell the story. How I want to do it, because I know what the story is, and I think this is the best way to tell that story. Now I might be wrong, but at least this is the idea I'm going to approach this with, right? And then I just tell the story, and it sounds a lot simpler than it actually is sometimes.
Oh, I totally understand.
Yeah.
What you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because I'm very, very similar. As I've grown as a writer, I've changed as well. Like when I started off when I was a kid, I was just like, oh, I don't want this in a character and this, because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And if I still wrote as I did as a kid, I would have not grown in my craft. And now I'm a mix of what they call a pantser and a plotter.
Yeah.
Like, I have a general idea, like you were saying, a goal.
Yeah.
I want to get this thing told, but then I let it flow.
Mm-hmm.
That's why the purging works for me. It's not so much I'm plotting anything out. It'll be like, okay, I wrote this for a website, but then I ended up putting it on my own website because I found out it actually helped people. So I'm like, well, if it's helping these people, let me put it over here so it'll help more, maybe.
Yeah.
But I write, say, because I did it for Maxwell, the chapter and everything I wanted in that chapter to happen.
Yeah.
Knowing that it may not all fit in.
Oh, no, it never
and
does.
as I'm working it would, sometimes I could get it all fit in, but then I'd slowly work other ideas. It's like I'm constantly working it. It's hard to explain, especially when people are not writers, because it all sounds crazy to them. But like you said, that character said they had to die. I've had characters where I did not want them to die in books, and then I did it anyways. But it opened up doors later on for them to appear because of the world I created for them to be in.
Yes.
Which is a kind of a spoiler for my series. I felt so bad that I did it, but because I really liked the character.
Yeah.
My publisher knows way more than I've released to the public about my series.
It's vital that they should. They should care almost as much as you do. Or else why are they even publishing it?
I'll get in conversations with Rebecca Jonesy over 3 Press.
Yes.
3 Theories Press. I got it right that time. And I'll get to telling her about this, and I'm doing it. I swear I'm almost done. I'll send it, whatever the conversation is, and then I'll get to talking about the books and my ideas. And she's like, "Oh, that sounds so good. Oh, you better do that. That sounds so good." And I'm like, "I will." She knows now more of my series.
Yeah, no.
If she's happy, I'm happy.
Well, yeah, but that's the deal, right? I mean, you want a publisher that cares. Right, because if you don't have a publisher that cares, your book's not going to do well with them. That's just how it is.
Well, I mean, a good sign of if they care or not is if they are interested enough to sign you.
That's not always enough. This is my own. I've talked to a lot of authors, and interested enough in signing me? Yeah, that's good. That's cool. Are you interested enough in telling me? do you believe in me enough that if I give you a book, you're going to push it to the best of your abilities? Because if the answer is no to that, you're signing me, and maybe the paycheck's nice, maybe it's not. I hope the paycheck's nice at that point. They're not going to promote me that much, but I don't want. Again, maybe I'm just being an arrogant prick. I don't know, but I don't want to be built to fail. I would rather be built to. I want to be just built to succeed as much as I possibly can. And if I know that the publisher is making all the efforts that they can, that they know how to do, and I can respect that, I'll go all in with them. But if they're like, well, we're doing this and this and this and this, and I'm like, no, I'd rather not, because I know that this won't work. I'm not. Again, maybe just me being a bit of a prick. I don't know, but I'm at that point in my life that if I'm working with people, I want them to be as committed to whatever I'm doing as I am. And if I don't have that, I'm going to walk away. And it's not even personal. It's just like, you know what? You're just what I feel I need and what you feel I need, and you can't convince me otherwise that your way is better than mine. And I'm very coachable. It's like, sell me on what you're doing so I can understand. But if you can't do that, I'm going to walk, because
from what I understand, okay, I'm gonna make sure I understand what you're saying. So you've experienced what sounds like miscommunication with your publisher.
Miscommunication with professionals. Period. I've experienced that. But not with, my publisher was great. I really enjoyed Mirrorwell Publishing. For me, I hit a very interesting space personally with them, in the sense that I'm my own entity. I've built my own audience on my own with my podcast, and strictly on a business level, based on what I've seen so far on my own. I've been able to get more royalties on my own than I did with the publisher. And that's not
their cut.
What?
Well, they've got to get their cut.
Well, no. It's beyond that. It's beyond even that. No, publishing is in an interesting space in this sense.
Yes, it is.
In the sense that it's the fact of the matter is if I build an audience on my own, okay, this is where I'm at with publishers. You have to offer me something that I don't already have. Because if you don't, I don't care about the prestige. I don't care about the awards. I don't care about the recognition. Because ultimately, I'm in the business of feeding myself. Right? So that I care about more than anything else when I'm working for someone. Or I'm working with someone. And so that's where I'm at, right? I'm no longer at that, so if I'm looking at a publisher, okay, any publisher, the question I'm asking myself is, what is this publisher giving me? Is they saving me time? That's cool. That's part of it. All right, they do save you time. They do take some of the work themselves. That's awesome. But are they reaching an audience I can't? Are they, sometimes, there are publishers that hit different audiences than I can reach, or have different platforms that I don't have access to. I want to work with those publishers because it gives me access to those platforms. But if my platform is more well-known, more widespread, I do my thing. And by the way...
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're bringing all this to the table. What are they going to bring to the table?
Yeah. That's totally what it is. It's no longer it's no longer for me. And again, don't get me wrong. If there are a few publishers out there I would do, just because of the prestige, or that it opens doors into different things that I can't normally do on my own, or there's a platform built in for me to actually accelerate in that particular genre, or that I'll do that. But if I have a podcast that's listened to literally around the world, I have an audience. So for me, it's about growing my audience. As a publisher, how do you do that for me? That's my question when I deal with a publisher now. right? Because if you don't,
it's a good question.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. But again, this is strictly a business question, right? Right. It's not personal because and again, I realize this too. Publishers have their own demands, their own audiences, their own masters that they are serving, and they're fans of books, and they are fans of you because if they weren't interested in you, they wouldn't try. But just being interested enough to sign me is no longer enough. I've been published. What are you giving me that I cannot get on my own? Because that's the question now I ask. And I would ask that whether I was working for the Big Five or whether I was working for anyone. And the bigger I get on my own, the more leverage I'm going to have with anyone I deal with. Because you're going to have to offer me more to convince me.
Right. I'm glad that you're actually saying some of this because I don't hear really too many talk about it like that. Like you hear people, oh, I write this or whatever, but it's really, really rare. Well, not really rare. It's, if you know where you can see it. People talking about the back end, the business end of it.
You have to.
Said, if you're in this business, if you're strictly in the writing business to become famous, you might as well not because you're going to put so much work into it before you ever get to that level that many people quit. It's too hard.
Fame only serves one purpose. Fame, it only has one purpose in life, and that is it makes you more money. In every other way, it's a pain in the ass. Honestly. If you become too... Okay, look at Stephen King. Stephen King, bless his heart, he is a successful author. He's a great writer. Right? He's a great writer. But the truth of the matter is, and you have to look at it like this, right? He can't go outside. He can't take a shit in public without someone noticing. That's a pain. Again, he gets paid a lot of money for that. I'm sure if I ever asked him personally, what's the one thing you hate more than anything else? He'll probably tell me it's the fame. It's more headache than it's worth. And I would almost bet money that's what he'd tell me, right? But that's but people have to, like, again, it's not about fame. Look, you want to make a living doing it because you love what you do. If I happen to I have awards, right? All right, my podcast is an award-winning podcast. I'm proud of that. I love that it's done that. It's opened doors. It's given me credibility, and I truly appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at it, okay, and this is a business sense. How can I use that to leverage my worth more? Because that, again, it doesn't serve you to be famous unless you're getting paid to do it. Make sense?
Oh, I get what you're saying. I was talking about, I don't know if you come across these writers yet. The ones that I've come across them in my career because they're trying to network, and so am I. Where they will talk about writing like it's easy, or they're better than so-and-so, or this writer, and they come in, and then they, I'm in it for the money. Well, we all are, to a point. We also have the drive and the passion and the willing to do the hard work.
Yes.
But I've seen writers that don't want to do the work, that don't want to promote themselves, don't want to do all of the really gritty, the marathon of it. You get what I'm saying? Like the marathon?
Oh, sure.
They don't want to do that. They just want to put a book out and say, hey, I'm published now.
Yeah,
but
I have...
The work's not good, it's not edited, but because of the way the industry is now, you got those of us really trying hard. Me, you, the professionals taking it serious. Then you have this other group of people putting out stuff just so they can say they're published.
Well, so I have a fun story about that, actually. There's a gentleman I knew in my high school days, and I was getting better deals writing. I got a better deal writing an essay than he got. Writing his novel. And I told him, don't take that deal. And you just don't, unless they're paying you. They got every right known to man, but he just wanted to get published. That's all he wanted to do. So I told him, don't do it. He did it anyway. His book's good. Like, here's the really sad part. His book was pretty good. His book was interesting. The voice was different. It was something that if a bigger house had gotten a hold of it, would have marketed it way better. But he wanted to get his cherry popped so hard with getting published, in his own words there, that he was willing to... People sell themselves short. This goes back to what I was talking about with freelancing. People do it all the time. Right, and that's the reality. That's the reality of the world we live in. We don't live in a world where people look at their worth honestly. We live in a world that people will, given a heartbeat, sell themselves short, and that's true. And I find the arts is the absolute worst area for this. It's not that these people, and most of the people that sell themselves short are actually amazing at what they do. It's the fact of the matter is that they just don't believe it, and you have to live with it, and you have to live that that's out there, and they are going to do what they're going to do. That's it. There's nothing else I can say or do about it. It's like, it is what it is. And don't get me wrong. I mean, guys, if you think I'm all about the money, I will. There are people I will help out just for the sake of helping out. They're my friends, and I believe in them. But there's a line. You know what I mean? There's a line on how far I'll go. I'll do an essay for somebody. For a couple of my friends, because I believe in what they're doing. And I think sometimes some gambles are worth paying off on, worth gambling on. But there are some people I just know that I'm like, nope, you're paying me because it's worth this, and I'm going to make it so that I get my value. Because if I don't get my value, I will resent working. Again, going back to the very beginning, if you're with people that appreciate you, it is much easier to bend over backwards for them, right? It's so much easier. But when you're dealing with people that have convinced you in their own way that they don't value you, right? That is when resentment takes hold. And once it takes hold, if there's not any boundaries or any if there's not any boundaries, you're going to have problems. And that's what this for me is hard-learned lessons with experience, and I've become very ruthless in this field to some degree as a result of that. But it's not because I want to be ruthless. It's because it is the only way to protect myself and not be taken right?
Right. Well, see, that's like, what is it they say? If a woman stands up for herself, she's suddenly a bitch. But a man could do the same thing and he's a boss. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I stand up for myself and I'm suddenly me, but like you said, you're willing to help other people. I help people all the time. That doesn't mean that I'm going to
absolutely
let them run all over me either.
Oh no, God no, you won't do that, right?
Right.
Right, but I'm telling.
I get what you're saying. Like, we're on the same page.
Yeah, that's it. Like,
you have to know your boundaries so that you are not taken advantage of, because there are a lot of people that will do that. I've had that experience where early in my career, somebody said they were going to pay me for the graphic work that I had done when their money came in. And I was naive enough to go, well, he's a good guy. At the time, I thought he was. He'll do it. He'll keep his word. And then when the time came, he never paid me. And then he's like, oh, well, this happened, and this happened. And then I started paying attention a little closer and noticed he was doing party-like behavior often.
Yeah.
And I still, to this day, all these years later, I'm still owed over $200. Several covers, because I was doing a deal for him to help him, because he came to me for help for his situation that he was in at the time. I'm not going to name names, but he said, I'm really trouble. I need covers like now. I'm not supposed to be using these images, and I did not know. And I'm like, that's why you're supposed to go to professional, not do it yourself.
Yeah.
Because we know, like, what we can and cannot use. Licensing is everything. And public domain and commercial license-free stuff. That's all okay stuff. But you can't just take what you want and use it as a cover. But at the time, I was really bitter about it, but I actually learned so much from that experience. Like, I never put myself back in that situation again.
No,
That's when I started watermarking everything.
Oh, I don't even do that. You can get around watermarks really easy. That's not it. It's just one of those situations. I believe people's actions, and if I see enough of them, I'll know you exactly for who you are. And once I do that, I can make a judgment, and that's it, and that's it. And maybe I'm wrong, but you've convinced me. I will believe you. Period. Then that's my justification. I believe you. And people get really frustrated when I say that, but ultimately, this is my belief, is that everybody does exactly what they want to do. Everybody. So,
have you noticed? I have a question for you. Have you noticed with your approach to this job, has it affected the way you approach people outside of the job?
No, because I believe people do exactly what they want to do, no matter what. It doesn't matter what's going on, what the situation is. Human nature is you will do exactly what you want to do. The only question I have with people is this: are you being deliberate with what you want, or are your desires ruling you? And the way I determine that is, are you doing the thing you say you want to do, or are you doing the easiest thing to do? Because that will tell me absolutely everything I need to know about you. And once I see enough of what you do in those situations, I make my decision based on that, where you're at. And once I see that, that's it. Like, there's no malice on my end, by the way. It's not even a malicious thing. It's like, you know what, this is what you want to do right now. I respect that. I love you. I trust you. You'll figure this out at some point, or you won't. Either way, I know that's how I build my boundaries. I build my boundaries not with everybody, actually, pretty much anybody. I will listen to you. I will listen to what you say. I will watch what you do. I will see where your actions and your words line up, because that's you. That is the truth, right? Everything else you say, I'm not saying I don't believe you. I will take you at your word until your actions prove me wrong.
Right.
Right.
Well, the reason why I asked that question is that's something that I've noticed. I've changed. I've grown a lot as an individual in the industry, but I've also took things away from the industry that I've applied to my life, like you're saying, building boundaries. It's not just a business thing. People need to have boundaries in their life.
Absolutely.
Toxic people, whatever. But I've noticed that was something that I myself did. Like, I would have people in my life ask for advice. Okay, here's what I would give you advice with. Okay, they didn't listen to it. They ask again. Here's my advice. I get tired of not being listened to. Like, why are you even talking to me and asking my thoughts if you're not even going to respect them?
Oh, I have a solution.
And that's something for business is, why are you bothering me when you're not really listening to what I have to say professionally?
Once that's one, like, the 4 fireable offenses. If you're not being listened to for your expertise, why are you hiring me, right?
Right.
And, I will fire you eventually if that becomes enough of a pattern. That's just, again, I'm that kind of asshole. I'm just being that honest with myself, right?
I don't think that you're being an asshole or being a prick, as you keep calling yourself. I think it's you are standing up for yourself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call you a prick or an asshole. I think that you're a professional that takes his job serious.
Yeah, and that's it. And I listen to people, and again, that's it. That's how I look at people. I don't look at them any other way. I find, and we're gonna have to wrap this up real soon here. The biggest.
But we're having such a good conversation.
I know, but I unfortunately have a day job to get to, and other things have to happen. But before I go, I guess what I want to say is the biggest thing I've learned about business and writing and creative. One of the biggest things I'm learning is ethics is hard, integrity is hard, but they're the only real ways you get ahead. Anything else you do is a shortcut. It bites you in the ass in the long run. You talk about you being ripped off for hundreds of dollars. I've been ripped off for thousands, and that individual is not as far as they should be in their career. And I can.
Oh yeah, like I don't really see anything from that person that did that to me at all.
The higher up you go, like you'll find this in the industry, the higher up you go, you will find people. You'll be surprised what you will find as you get closer to the top. There's a bunch of people you would think that would have their shit more together that they don't. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is, right, getting to the dance. There's a lot of ways to get there. But I find the people that stay there are the ones that have the integrity and are serious and have a willingness to do the things. And whatever approach they choose, right, in terms of whether it may be independent, whether it's traditional, whether it's Kickstarter, whether it really doesn't matter what the path to whatever fruit you're going for. It's the fact that this industry is ultimately about having people's faith in your ability to tell a story. Whether you're a cover artist, right, that's it. That's the game. That's the game. Get people to believe that you can tell a story. And once you have that, you will sell books. That's it. That's the game when you break it right down.
Well, you have to have quality.
Yes.
Granted, 100%. But you also have to, like you're saying, get people to believe. Marketing is one of the biggest things. Like right now, I'm marketing. I'm on your show. You allowed me on your show, and you're marketing to whoever might show up to see me on here. They're learning who you are. Your audience is learning who I am.
Exactly.
It's marketing. We're spreading out.
Yes.
And it's all marketing. It's marketing, and if you believe in me enough to go, she's a really good writer. And I go, hey, Josh, he's a great guy. Our audiences that we've built that trust us will then go on and go look at your work or come look at my work.
Yeah. And
see that at the end of it, after the marketing, it's quality work.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's marketing and quality.
Exactly. Well, quality help. Well, quality, it's marketing, quality, and ultimately belief in yourself. That's it. Right? And putting yourself into the best positions to succeed. Again, success for everybody varies. That's one thing about life. There's no guarantees. But if you do everything right, you'll get something, I find. Usually you get something. So, Miss Lynn, I think we have an interview here. What do you think?
I would say so.
Yeah. So why don't we end it like this?
Before we end it, I would like to say, please check me out at lbachman.com, if that's okay.
Oh, I was just going to give you. I was just going to give you the floor to promote everything I have. What's your current book? When it's coming out? I always do this at the end of the show.
Well, it felt like such a conversation. I was just like, oh, don't forget the thing.
No.
I always end up forgetting to say something.
Now I can tell. Now I can tell you haven't listened to my show. See, I can tell that just based on that.
Well, I listened to a chunk of it, and then I'll go off because I've got stuff I've got to do. So unless it's a two-parter. Unless it's a two-parter, at the end of every episode, I go like this: tell me what your current book is. Tell me how people can find you. And that's what I'm doing right now. This is what tell about your current book, right? Okay. And how people can find you. All right. The current book, I have two. I have the Blasphemer series. Harvest is republishing out in November. On the 24th, it will be coming out with Three Fairies Press. But before that, I have a dark poetry book called Melancholia that will be coming out October 5th. And you can find all this information, all my social media links at my website, lbachman.com.
Can you say that part out loud again? Like louder?
Oh, I'm sorry. You can find my social media and all of my information on my books, what's coming up, all my appearances, because this is the first of many, at lbachman.com.
Okay. Let me help you tell your story. I offer a variety of audio services. I will narrate, I will produce, I will edit, and I will master your file so that it will be ready for Audible and Spotify. And if you don't want me to narrate your story, whether you want to do it or get someone else, I will help you find the right person for the job. All in all, I just want to help you tell your story. Let me help you. For information on my rates and services, please click the link below in the podcast description, jpantelleresco.wordpress.com, for more details. And that was my conversation with Al Bachman. She was an incredible chat. I really enjoyed her. She's a fast friend. I definitely looking forward to the day I chat with her again. So you are, Lynn, if you're listening, thank you for coming on my show. You are welcome to come back anytime. You were awesome. So what do I want for my birthday? When Sunday airs, Sunday will be another presentation. And then actually we'll see. I have to ask him. I'll ask my client if he'll let me do what I want to do. But what I really want for my birthday, honestly, guys, is more work. Buy my books, let myself get out there. I'm trying to make this work. And, I get times are tough for everybody. I'm not saying that this is an easy time. But if you know someone that needs to have their work voiced, audio, narrated, I am definitely your guy. If you need someone to host a podcast, I'm definitely your guy. If you want to buy my books, I'm definitely your guy. If you want to check out my merchandise, I'm definitely your guy. Really, I just want more people to know that my stuff's out there and that I want it to be read and I want to read your stories too. That's what I want more than anything right now. So if you're listening to this, if you want to wish me a happy birthday, that'd be the way to do it. But beyond that, guys, thanks for listening. That'll do it for this episode, Just Joshing. If you want to support the podcast, you can do so in a number of different ways. You can subscribe to the podcast. I'm on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer, and Audible. So definitely come on, click on the subscribe link, let people know I'm out there, that I'm awesome and made of cheese or something. My past episodes are archived on my YouTube channel, Joshua Pantelleresco. Click a follow there. You'll get that and some cool videos every now and then, too. Outside of that, my books, Al Zero and The Cloud Diver, are available on Amazon right now. Stay tuned for The Cloud Diver to be going wide by the end of November 1st. Outside of that, my merchandise at jpantelleresco.redbubble.com. T-shirts, mugs, cups, you name it, I got it. Take a look. Buy one if you got time, if you got the money. Subscribe to my newsletter. I'm on MailChimp. There's a link at the link below. Put your email in. You'll get cool stuff from me. Beyond all that, guys, thanks for listening. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Stay inspired. Keep surfing the chaos.
Josh.